Let's open up the Vintage Collection Professor Huyang action figure. Villa Varykino. If it's Star Wars, we collect it. Hello there. Thanks for visiting Villa Varykino. I absolutely love the character of Professor Huyang ever since he first appeared in the Clone Wars animated series. So of course I was very excited when they revealed that he was going to be a character in the live action Ahsoka series. Once again voiced by the incredible David Tennant, of course of Doctor Who fame. So now we have action figure versions of Professor Huyang. I need all of the merch of this fabulous character. I really love the way that he expanded the lore of Jedi and how they build their lightsabers. I thought this was a fantastic character to have appear in the Ahsoka series. Absolutely loved him in that show. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Coming up very soon, we'll get this figure off the backing card so we can check out all of the details and the accessories. But first, let's take one last look at the packaging. Of course, this is from the Vintage Collection, so we have the iconic Kenner style backing card here with the chrome racetrack. We have the Ahsoka live action series logo here at the top in red, and for Professor Huyang we have a blue accent for the title card here, Professor Huyang, and behind the figure. I really like the nice and clear promotional image they have of Huyang from the show with his arms behind his back. I think that looks really cool. And here we can see the figure. So we have two additional sort of droid arms that will connect into his back, and we have two small accessories here. One looks like a data pad, and this one looks to be sort of like a prototype Jedi lightsaber hilt, which I think is kind of a fun accessory for him. Just fantastic. I know it's so tempting to keep these on their backing cards. They do look so nice and tidy, but I am going to be opening this one up to add this one to my loose action figure display. Looks so cool there. On the back, we have a nice image here of the backing card in question, but instead of the figure sort of posed as if it were on a bubble, we have it in front of the backing card with the arms and accessories in a fun little pose. We can see the arms are now attached to the back. He's holding the hilt and looking at the data pad. It doesn't really have instructions on how to attach those arms, so I'm going to be using this picture as hopefully a helpful guide on which way round those arms go there. We have a little bit of a bio for Professor Huyang here. A repository of ancient Jedi lore, Huyang oversaw the construction of lightsabers in the Jedi Order for centuries, keeping an exacting record of every lightsaber constructed under his supervision. Very nice bio there. A lot of copyright text here at the bottom, and you can see this is number VC311. Overall, a very nice card. I like the blue. Gives me a bit of a Jedi vibe here. Of course, he is strongly aligned with the Jedi Order, so I like the blue color for him. Very nice there. So let's get him off the card so we can take a closer look at the figure. Now I have Professor Huyang off the backing card so we can take a closer look. And I think he looks really cute. We can see all of those details nicely now that we have him off the backing card. And one of the first things that I wanted to touch on is the color. You can see next to the promotional image here on the backing card, there is a little bit of a difference here. I personally think he is more silver on the live action show with almost a dark blue metal for the accent points here. On the figure, he's a bit more, I want to say beige. That almost sounds like not quite the right color. There is a bit of a metallic kind of finish to some of these points, but the accent colors around his neck and around the shoulders, that's more of a dark metallic brown than the blue tone that I think we see here. So I think there is a little bit of a mismatch with the color. Not too strong that it's really annoying me, but I do think I would have preferred it if he was just a tad more silver. But let's go over the details. Of course, we have his face here. He is such a unique looking droid. We've got a blue paint here for his, I want to say helmet. It almost does look like a helmet on him. And we've got that sort of dark brown metallic detail here. We've got a subtle, it's not quite a gold, but a bit of a low sheen gold across the top, not quite the same color as his body. And then we've got that sort of dark brown accent color at the joins. particularly at those shoulder joints, and we can see that color sort of running into his, it's not quite a backpack, kind of is, but it's where his sort of extra droid arms kind of attached to on here. Really keen to check those out very shortly. Going to see how those attach. Don't see the peg holes here, so that's going to be interesting to explore. He is quite a thin-bodied figure, of course, being true to the character on the show. I'm going to have to spend a little bit of time kind of just getting his sort of ab plate to sit a little more straighter than he did on his backing card. He's kind of just a little bit twisted to the side. He's got very small joins for his arms, looking very nice there. We've got these sort of darker brown paint apps here for his forearms. He's got, we're going to have to check out the articulation. I think he's just going to rotate his arms. I don't see any other sort of articulation there for the hands. Elbows, shoulders, we've got that upper torso, we've got some good movement there. Nice movement for his face. He's got such a classic expression, kind of like the C-3PO. They do manage to get so much personality and expressions out of what is an expressionless face. I think that that's such a skill. I love the detail of his sort of apron belt going on here. We've got a lot of pouches. I like what Hasbro does now with all the very small sort of texture detail for what could be soft goods, but we've got it sculpted here in plastic. So we've got all these little subtle sort of wrinkles and bumps and things like that, making it give a very shrunken down texture of leather, which I do really like. And of course we can see all of that sort of black wiring midsection. Here on the back, we can see all of those little wire details sculpted into that section there. Really liking these pouches, they look really good. And of course, we've got a lot of different details here for the legs. He is very skinny. I was kind of surprised I can actually get him to stand up. This has got to be one of the thinner legged vintage collection figures that I have opened recently. Kind of like a battle droid. I do have a plastic stand on hand in case he ends up being a little bit wobbly once we get all of the accessories on him. And we've got some very fine joints here. I do like the metal paint that they have used for his knees. That almost looks like a metal rivet for the articulation there. Of course, very fitting for a droid. We've got that same metal color for the exposed sort of calf mechanics here as well. And we've got a little bit of articulation here in the ankle as well. That'll be very useful for trying to get him to stand up straight. We're not really going to put him in action poses. He kind of reminds me a little bit more of like a protocol droid. He's not really built for, you know, fighting. He doesn't come with weapons and things like that. He's a little bit more of a in the lab type character rather than the ones that fight out. I really like these metal panels in the back. Of course, plastic, but painted to look metal. Very nice. I like the sculpting lines there. Such an interesting mix of sort of fabric textures and droid components here. So really nice. Not too much in the way of paint apps. We've got some more details around the face. I like that gold sort of paint for his eyes recessed in there. Pretty much is all made out of this sort of slightly sheeny beige plastic with some details there. It looks like most components are made in the plastic color. Nice easy way. The belt is a separate piece, the ab piece. This ab piece is actually painted to match the chest plate. That is paint. You might be able to show up on camera that those are not the same, but very close match in paint. I didn't see that originally, so that's a really good paint match there. Looking really nice. Very tidy paint on the details, like on the forearms, the little bolt detail here on the chest. Very nice. I did not get to see a second one of these before buying it, so I wasn't able to look at the details to make sure that the painting was all good, nothing was broken. So very happy that he looks all spot on. There's even like a really fine little detail along the edge of this front apron section here. Very fine detail, giving it like an edged leather look there. And we've even got a bit of an accent here for the buckle at the front. Very nice. Okay, so of course he comes with these sort of extra arms that sort of pop out of this back piece here. So I'm really curious to see how this is all going to work, because these all look completely sculpted together. So I'm going to just see if perhaps this all comes off. I had a quick look at the sort of the Hasbro Pulse listing for it, because I want to see how these arms go together. Okay, so we've got a nice pig hole here on the back with a shaped pig, so that's always going to go up the right way. But these arms don't attach to the back, but we can get a good look at the sculpting for the back plate there. Nice and shiny. It's generally, he's not supposed to be displayed without this piece on it, so I was not expecting to see any details underneath there. But we can see the back of the head and the neck very clearly there. I like the fine little detail of these sort of exposed droid parts in his neck there. Very, very fine detail there. Okay, so how are we going to attach his arms? I think, okay, I'm just going to pull. Okay, they do come off. Okay, that was actually a little easier than I thought. So we've got his folded up arms coming off. Hopefully I'll remember how to put this all back together. Okay, this one is, oh, this one's a little stiffer in there, but we can see the two pig holes. That's a bit interesting, because I think the arms, the open arms, oh, this one's very stiff. Okay, there we go. The open arms only have one pig. Okay, so I'm going to put this back on his back, because I'm trying to remember which way round these go. The arms sort of face towards the back. So I believe this one's going to go this way. Okay, so now that I've got that in the right way, let's see how well these are going to snap in. Okay, that wasn't too hard. And we've got some free movement there. They're not fixed, so we've got a little bit of posability. Let's get that other one into position. Let's see. Okay, that one didn't click, but it went in just as easily. Okay, so now we can put his droid sort of accessory on his back there. So now we've got his arms in place and we can move them around. If we fold them down, that second hinge kind of hides that pig hole. To be honest, it's not an ugly pig hole. It does look a little bit like a toy attachment plate, but if I sort of fold them down, that's going to be hidden fairly well. Though generally, I think we're probably going to pose him with his arms up like that, because if we look at the backing card picture, they sort of have them sort of up, facing up a little bit. But yes, I think that works really well. If you don't like the shape of the arms, maybe it's giving you sort of General Grievous vibes, then you can have them folded up in the back. Perhaps it's less distracting. Maybe he balances better without these. You can sort of go up a little bit high. They're going to hit his head, so we're not really going to go too far forward with them, but we've got them in the back there. Really nice. I think those work well. They are made from the same plastic as the chest, so they are a pretty nice match there in terms of color. Very nice. I kind of like them down a little bit. I'm hoping that might not throw them off kilter too much there with the balance. So let's go and check out some of his poses with his arms here. I'm expecting, because he's a droid, the articulation is pretty evident. It's pretty well sculpted in to him. But yeah, we can do all the sort of standard poses. Very slender arms. So, but we're getting, that's about as far up as, we're just going to get a basic right angle there with his arm. I can't really get that one tighter in because of where that's hitting. And we can just rotate his arms, his hands there. Yeah, so we can rotate his hands in fairly well. Of course, he doesn't have a weapon, so we don't really need a two-handed grip here. It doesn't come with a blaster rifle or anything like that, but we have. Now, I couldn't find what this actually is in any of the descriptions. The website listing mentions a data pad, but this, I'm going to say, it looks like a lightsaber hilt to me, so that's what I'm going to call it. It looks like, you know, put together lightsaber hilt that he is, you know, it's not painted, it's all in one color. It is a different color to him, so at least it stands out. It doesn't look like it's just made out of the same material as he is. So I'm just going to slip this in. It is a fairly slender lightsaber hilt. That's why I was like perhaps not the most sure, because it's very narrow. It could be perhaps called a tool, but it just goes into his hand very easily. And at least it is a different color, so it doesn't look like it's all just the same thing. So he's holding that. So in terms of the promotional images, they have him holding the data pad with this, I want to say it's like an antenna or perhaps a stylus or something like that, with it pointing up. So I am going to see if I can get this into his hand. It's very thin, so I'm curious to see how well he's going to hold it. Okay, kind of gripping on the ridges on the surface there, but he does hold it. The interesting thing is that on the backing card, if I get this one out, he's holding it up the other way with the sort of the antenna point downwards. So I'm not sure. I guess I'm going to have to go back and watch Ahsoka and see if he holds an accessory that looks like this and which way round he does hold it, because the picture on the backing card is different to the promotional image by Hasbro. So I kind of think it looks right with this point up the top. I don't know. Let's see how he holds it if I flip it around the other way. Oh, he's actually holding that onto that fairly well. Okay. And yeah, he holds that well the other way around as well. So there we go. So now the test. How well is he going to stand up holding some things with his arms out? Wow, I was actually surprised that he stood up so fast. I thought I might be wrangling with his legs a little bit there, but he actually stands up fairly well. I'm not too worried about him falling over, but of course with a character that's got such thin legs like this, I am going to put it on a clearer stand. He does have attachment points there on the underside. Hopefully the heel go on easily. A little bit of wiggling there. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Oh, that is quite tight. I'm having to, oh, very tight. That's a very small peg hole. I'm not sure that that's going to go on to my standard action figure. Nope, that's not going on. The pegs are very, very small. I'm kind of just pushing that on the bottom of his feet. Wow, I might have to do some sanding on the peg of my base to get him to stand on that. I know that that sort of thing can vary from figure to figure. Sometimes you just get a little bit of plastic that just kind of makes things fit not quite right. But yes, I do want him on a clear stand just because he is a very thin-legged figure, and these things can loosen up over time. If you've ever army built battle droids from the Phantom Menace era, you probably have a few that are bending over a little bit by now. Overall, I think he's fantastic. The color aside, I like the details. I like the sculpting work on all of his fine details. He has a lot of details and accessories on his belt and things like that. I like that they gave him something to hold, and we've even got the posing options with his arms. I think that is great for collectors. You can put him in a scene however you want. And of course, we can now add him to the Ahsoka live action collection lineup. This is my live action Ahsoka figure. This one is from actually The Mandalorian. This one is VC311, but she is in my Ahsoka live action display for now. And yeah, I think this looks really cool. Definitely keen to add more figures from the Ahsoka series to my 3.75-inch action figure collection, and I think Huyang is fantastic. I think he looks really cool. Very well done. So there you go. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today as I opened up another Star Wars collectible and had a lot of fun. I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon or evening wherever you are in the galaxy, and let's hang out again very soon for more Star Wars fun. May the Force be with you. If you're a fan of the vintage collection line, I've recently unboxed the Incinerator Trooper. That video is linked here in case you haven't already seen it, as well as our whole vintage collection unboxing playlist. This is the way.